Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Avi Golhar. Welcome to the show. You're tuning in, and I appreciate it. In this show, you're going to learn from a pro real estate investor where he and his team have sent out more than 50 million pieces of direct mail and some of the lessons they've learned as a result. You know, I'm a real estate investor as well, and I haven't sent out that many pieces of direct mail. I've sent out maybe like 5, right? So like, what fraction is that? Like 0.001% of the amount that they've done. And it's absolutely crazy. So we're going to talk about his Robert's story, how he got into the real estate world, what he's doing today, some of the successes, mistakes that he's made, and some of the successes that he's had, and what we can learn. Because quite frankly, we're all in this together, and the more strategies that we can learn about and take advantage of today, the better we can all be. Before we interview Robert, I want to give a huge shout out to Narada Real Estate Investments, your premier source for cash flow investment property. You want to visit Narada at turnkeyrealestateinvestments.com. We can't do the podcast without the help and support and love of our sponsor. So Marco at Narada Real Estate Investments, thank you. Robert, let's go, man. Let's dig in. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Pleasure being here.
You got it. All the way from Tahiti, apparently. Which is,
which like is that background.
Yeah, you must have a really good microphone because your microphone isn't catching any of the wind.
Special setup, specially flown in just for me to be able to have that.
Man, you're a total rock star to make that happen. Give us a little background. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, so Robert Syfert. I live and reside in Tampa, Florida, run a virtual real estate business and have for several years. Started off massive sales and financial background, doing estate planning and all of that. Led into reading the book that I think, if not every real estate investor has read, they should, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrants, and went my bridge long time ago, back in 2012, 2013, went all into real estate and everything. Went very aggressive, built a massive turnkey business, management, and everything that goes with that, wholesaling, every marketing channel there is, and then transitioned through the years into coaching others nationally to grow their businesses to the level they wanted to, and then creating and partnering with my partner, Gary, who also founded realestateinvestor.com, which provides the services to real estate investors so that we can give back to the community and make it easier for everyone. And so that's the 50 million pieces of mail done for hundreds of companies around the nation and millions of phone calls made. We provide all the tools, resources, and systems that are needed, and even the staffing if you don't have the staff to grow and scale to whatever level you want. And so we just have fun every day doing that, sitting on beaches.
Yeah, I clearly, I love it. I'm jealous. I'm coming over with a beer.
Yeah.
So when it comes to investors and when they're kind of first in the game and they're wondering what steps to take, what are your initial thoughts? Is it go straight into marketing, create an entire system, create a brand, crazy advertising spend for lead gen? What's that blueprint for you?
Yeah, so I think the answer slightly differs for each person, but the simple blueprint that everyone should follow, regardless of budget, is number one, take action. Do something. I find a lot of people before they get in, like myself, spend a lot of time reading. I spent over 10 years reading books and studying, think I need to know everything before I got started. I learned way more through every deal I did and the years of experience. So I would tell you the blueprint is to make it simpler for yourself, at least have something that is going to organize and track all the stuff that you do so that you're not wasting time, money, and energy tracking down the notepad you lost it on or the sticky note you put over here, because that allows you to miss out on opportunities that you actually had, and you won't learn that until later. So that's the blueprint there. And then any marketing, right? If you have money to spend on marketing, great. Get a list. Pick one marketing channel and go all in on that, whether it's direct mail, cold calling, text messaging. Do that until you get really good at it and consistent with it, and you make deals because they all work.
Yeah.
And if you have no budget, pick something you can manually do, like picking up the phone and calling people or texting people, right? And go all in on that thing until you get really good at it and you can replace yourself.
So, what are some of the mistakes that you and your team kind of made early on in your investing careers that now you look back and you're just like, and you laugh at yourselves because you're like, this we should have, we totally botched that. Like,
Yeah. Number one is lack of follow-up,
yeah,
right? No matter how many leads you get in, if you're not following up with everybody and thinking everyone's going to say yes today, it's the number one mistake you'll make. And it's the one that you will not get to any level of scale until you dial that in. And then number two goes back to what I said for the blueprint, which is don't spread yourself wide thinking, well, I got a couple bucks. I need to do everything because everything might work. Don't do that. It all works. And number three, big, huge one that we still have to catch ourselves not doing today is the shiny object syndrome. There is no magic push button, click it here, and money just ends up in my mailbox from real estate. It's just, there is none. It's just a new sexy marketing term that somebody wants to sell you something. So just be cautious of that and realize that it's going to take work and time, focus and consistency, and there's no way around that.
oh gosh, so I shouldn't have spent all that money on that instant millionaire system.
Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news and burst that bubble, but it may not be instant millions tomorrow.
Right. So you have a concept called all leads suck. And that's kind of interesting, right? Because you've sent out 50 million pieces of direct mail, and the leads that you're getting from that should be potentially qualified leads. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows, right? I'm sure there's like a smorgasbord of leads. Maybe some are good, some are bad, etc. But why do all leads suck? Why would you say that?
So it's just the mentality to approach the leads, right? And so most people have,
Okay.
going back to that shiny object, that we're just going to all of a sudden, I sent money, I got leads coming in, that automatically means they're good leads. I'm on the phone and I get a deal. The reality is, if you treat them as they all suck,
Yes.
you will follow up with all of them until the day they don't. So every seller or any lead you get is at a certain psychological point when they meet you. And likely they suck. Likely they want to say no. Likely they want more than what you want to offer. But if you stay in front of them, we call it mining and refining in our world.
Yep.
You have to mine and refine and keep digging for the gold, and eventually you get the gold. And most people quit when they're 3 feet from gold.
Yes, and it's that same picture that you see on Instagram, right? It's like the guy that walks away and the gold is like 3 feet, or like
Yes.
just a few centimeters away. But if you keep trucking through, you get it. How many times do you follow through? Has that number increased now because of how hot the real estate market has been? Is it, instead of 7 times, which is historically true for sales, is it now 18 times and you have to throw them in some type of nurture campaign, an active campaign, or some type of text messaging campaign, or a yellow letter campaign, or a pink letter, blue letter campaign? What's the magic number, Robert? That's what I want to know.
The magic number is
Magic number.
until.
That's not a number.
Right.
That's a word.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know how y'all do it in
infinity?
Tampa.
Is infinity a number? Infinity's a number, right? So
Yes,
infinite.
that's right. You got me on that one.
Yeah, you never
Think about
stop.
this.
You can't,
Okay.
right? It's that's the misnomer, right? Most deals are not even done until 7+, to your point.
Yep.
And most real estate investors, I think it's something like 95% of real estate investors actually make 2 calls, right?
Yeah.
But most deals are done at 7 or beyond.
So then, is that just real estate investors being lazy, that they're only making 2 calls and then they just say, "Oh, I'm done. I tried."
I think it's this, right? And it's why we created a system to handle this. If it's left up to you to do it in human psychology, you just won't. You'll quit doing it at some point. So if you do not fully automate that nurturing, it just won't get done. At least not the ability for you to scale your business, right? You won't be able to keep bringing in hundreds of leads and follow up with all the hundreds of leads that didn't say yes today, unless that's fully automated piece of what you do. Period.
So when it comes to, sorry, I was looking at my producer here because I'm like, I totally agree with what you're saying from a marketing perspective, because you put a lot of money into marketing, because that's one of the things that you just initially have to invest in. And everybody talks about this, oh, I want an ROI on marketing. I think Gary Vaynerchuk made this very popular when he said, what's the ROI on your mother? So what is the ROI on marketing?
It again, the true ROI is going to come down the path, right? And most people will never see what your return is because they stop following up. So that's where that's a big part of why they give up after 3 feet. They're like, hey, I spent money on marketing. I got these leads coming in. I made 2 phone calls. I didn't get a deal. This didn't work. I got to get out of real estate. This marketing channel doesn't work for anybody. But the reality is, why is someone else in the same market right next to you doing the same marketing channel, making money and getting a consistent return on investment? Number one, they consistently market on that channel. And number two, they've dialed in and figured out that they have to follow up forever. And at some point, that returns to you over time. As long as I think Jim Rohn said it best, or maybe it was Zig Ziglar. The more you can do for other people to help them get what they want, the more you will get. And so the value is in how many times you follow up, in the style and how you follow up and what you say, and are you adding value to those people that said yes? And back to the marketing point, it costs you less money to follow up with somebody with automated nurturing systems infinitely than it does just a lead for marketing. And yet we don't do that part, but we'll spend more money on marketing as the answer.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. So if I'm interested in working with you guys, how do I do it?
Yeah, very simple. Realestateinvestor.com. You go right to the page and click Get Started and walk through where you're at, right? We're going to find out where you're at in your journey today, and we're going to meet you at that place and help you get to where it is you want to go.
Robert, I appreciate the strategies, the insight, and understanding that it does take a little bit of stress to send out 50 million pieces of direct mail. I couldn't do that ever in my life, but congratulations, just maybe that, just only that much, just a teensy weensy bit. No, but I appreciate it. I mean, the marketing, cold calling, et cetera. I mean, you guys do a lot of that too. There are a lot of these strategies and there are a lot of these things, the Think Realty Nation, that you need to pay attention to, especially if you're a wholesaler, if you're a flipper, if you're looking for those deals and you need consistent deal flow, you need somebody there to walk you step by step and to be there to have this machine already built so you don't have to build the machine again, right? That's the entire point. So, Robert, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. You want to get in touch with him and his team, go to realestateinvestor.com. Robert, again, thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Think Realty Nation. This next segment is brought to you by Clint Coons of Anderson Business Advisors, nationally recognized for providing bulletproof asset protection, tax, and business strategy advice to real estate investors. Go to getbulletprooftoday.com and receive his book titled Asset Protection for Real Estate Investors for free while supplies last. All right, let's talk about preventing tenant fraud. And for all you real estate landlords and buy and holders out there, here's kind of an interesting statistic. According to a 2020 survey conducted by ReRes Research of 100 property professionals, 2/3 of them experienced losses due to fraudulent rental application. And the remaining third? Well, just give it time. Application fraud is on the rise and more sophisticated than ever. So there are a couple of things that you can do. One, you can manually screen these applications to prevent fraud. And you can and property managers can take visual cues in every document. Is that really a check, or is that really a pay stub, or was that made at, make your pay stub online or create your paystubonline.com? So be aware of these types of things that exist and that people will just say, or your tenants, potential prospective tenants will say, of course I make this much money. Well, I want to prove it, right? Like, where's the income statement? Like, I want to see this money in your bank account. Number two, here's the thing with spotting fraud. It's really difficult to find, especially if you're not looking for it on a regular basis. And number one, you'll bear a lot of financial loss. Number two, it's inconvenient. And number three, there's a lot of busy work associated with it. So you want to kill all of that altogether. What you want to do, if you can, is hire a VA, somebody that you can hire for $4 or $5 or $6 an hour to just look over these applications over and over and over again to make sure you aren't getting taken advantage of. Or maybe build out some type of OCR application that will automatically look at your images and analyze them using artificial intelligence tools and software to see if they're real or not. But, I mean, I'll tell you something. This is a really big problem. And if you want to read more about this article and the guy that wrote it, his name is Dan Berlind. You can read about the title of this article is called "Preventing Tenant Fraud" on thinkrealty.com under the Money Matters section. So you want to make sure that you check it out. And he is the CEO of Snapped, based out of Los Angeles, and he helps to prevent fraud for rental owners. So you want to make sure that you connect with him as well. Think Realty Nation, that's a wrap. I need to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to Nevada Real Estate Investments for sponsoring this podcast. And Nevada Real Estate Investments is your premier source for cash flow investment property. Visit turnkeyrealestateinvestments.com to learn more. If you want to get in touch, you know how to get in touch with me at Avi Golhar anywhere online, Instagram and YouTube for sure. Ask some questions, get them answered, and level up that real estate investing strategy. Until next time, happy investing.